What if the most wholesome show on ABC's Friday night lineup was quietly covering up stolen wardrobe, corporate hostage situations, and a fake British accent that fooled an entire cast for years? Boy Meets World looked like exactly what it advertised. A kid from Philadelphia growing up with good friends, a wise mentor, and life lessons delivered in 30-minute installments. But the story behind those 7 seasons was considerably stranger than anything that happened inside John Adams High School. Here are 13 weird facts about Boy Meets World. 1993. You didn't know. Fact 13. Will Friedle almost lost the role because of height. Will Friedle was not supposed to be Eric Matthews. He had auditioned for the part and made a strong impression, but on the day he was called back, he got sick and could not make it to the studio. The producers could not wait. They moved forward with another actor who filmed the entire pilot episode as Corey's older brother. By the time Friedle had recovered, the role appeared to be taken. The problem surfaced when the producers watched the pilot footage back. The actor they had cast was shorter than Ben Savage, who played Corey, and the visual read on screen was wrong in a way that could not be ignored. A younger brother towering over his older sibling creates an immediate and ongoing confusion for the audience, the kind of thing that lodges in the back of the mind and never fully settles. The height discrepancy was significant enough to make the footage unusable. The producers decided to recast the part entirely. They brought Friedle back in, stood him next to Savage, and the problem solved itself. Friedle was noticeably taller. The sibling relationship read correctly on camera, and he was given the role. Everything shot with the original actor was discarded, and the scenes were redone. Among the weird facts about Boy Meets World 1993, this one sits at the precise intersection of bad luck and fortunate timing. Friedle got sick on the wrong day, which led to someone else filming the pilot, which led to a height comparison that the replacement did not survive, which brought Friedle back in. Each step in that sequence had to happen the way it did. What Friedle made of the second chance is part of the show's history. Eric Matthews started as a straightforward older brother and evolved into one of the most unpredictable comedic characters in the series. 7 seasons of that performance exist because the first actor hired for the role was a few inches shorter than the kid playing his younger brother. Before moving ahead, take a quick second to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for the next story. Fact 12. 3 different actresses played Topanga before the role was settled. The character of Topanga Lawrence went through one of the more painful casting processes in the show's history before Danielle Fishel landed the part. The first actress hired was Bonnie Morgan, who arrived on set, spent an entire day filming, and was let go at the end of that same day. The reason given to her was direct. The producers told her she was not pretty enough for the role. For a child actor just starting out, that kind of feedback is not easily absorbed or moved past. After Morgan was dismissed, the producers brought in Mara Sokoloff, who would later become well known for her work on The Practice. Sokoloff filmed her version of Topanga and seemed like she might finally be the answer the production was looking for. But again, the producers were not satisfied with what they had. Something about the energy, the chemistry with the rest of the cast, or the quality of the character as it was emerging, was not clicking the way it needed to. Danielle Fishel came in for her audition after 2 other actresses had already been hired and let go. She was auditioning for a role that 2 people had held before her. Among the weird facts about Boy Meets World 1993, this casting history is the one that most directly reframes how settled the show's most iconic relationship actually was at the start. Fishel had the chemistry with Savage, the right combination of quirky and grounded, and the ability to carry her own weight in the ensemble. The producers cast her and stopped looking. It is easy now, after 7 seasons and a reunion series and decades of fan loyalty to the Corey and Topanga pairing, to assume the character always made sense with Fishel in it. The truth is that she was the 3rd person to hold the role, and the 2 before her were both formally hired before being replaced. Either of them could have developed the character into something different. Fishel was never the first choice. She was not the second. She was the 3rd actress to play Topanga, and the one who made it feel like the search had never happened at all. Fact 11. Topanga was named during a traffic jam. The name Topanga Lawrence is distinctive enough that it seems like it must have come from somewhere meaningful. It suggests someone who exists slightly outside the ordinary, eccentric and grounded at the same time, different from everyone around her, but completely at ease with that difference. Most viewers probably assumed it emerged from a careful, creative discussion. The actual origin involves a freeway sign and a ringing phone. Creator Michael Jacobs has told the story multiple times. He was stuck in Los Angeles traffic, moving slowly through one of the city's more frustrating stretches of highway, when someone from the production team called to ask what the quirky, free-spirited girl character should be named. They needed an answer quickly. Jacobs looked out his window and saw a sign for Topanga Canyon, one of the well-known areas in the Santa Monica Mountains above Malibu. He said, "The name." The person on the other end loved it immediately. Among the weird facts about Boy Meets World 1993, this one contains the most unsettling alternate version. Jacobs has said that if he had been sitting in a different part of Los Angeles traffic at that moment, the character might have been named Canoga instead, after Canoga Park in the San Fernando Valley. Canoga Lawrence, Corey, and Canoga. The reunion series Girl Meets World built around a character named Canoga. None of that happened because of where a car happened to stop on a particular afternoon. The name that became genuinely iconic in the lives of an entire generation of viewers was chosen in under a minute from a freeway sign that Jacobs would not have seen if traffic had been moving at a normal pace. Something that felt inevitable to audiences had been arbitrary from the very beginning. That is a strange quality for a name to carry for 30 years without anyone outside the production knowing about it. Fact 10. Minkus vanished. Because of Steve Urkel. Stuart Minkus appeared throughout Boy Meets World's first season as the nerdy, academically competitive presence who occupied classroom scenes alongside Corey and provided a specific kind of friction with the main group. He had been part of the show from the start. When Season 2 began, he was simply gone. No explanation was offered on screen. No reference was made to where he had gone. The character stopped existing between seasons without any acknowledged reason. The real explanation had nothing to do with the actor's performance or the character failing to connect with viewers. It came from outside the show entirely. Family Matters was airing on the same ABC Friday night lineup, and Steve Urkel had grown into one of the most recognizable characters in American television. Network executives became concerned that having two prominent nerdy characters on the same night, on the same network, was creating redundancy that might confuse or divide the audience's attention. Among the weird facts about Boy Meets World 1993, this one is the clearest example of a creative decision being made entirely for competitive reasons. Lee Norris, who played Minkus, had done nothing wrong and the character had functioned as intended. He was removed because another show had already claimed similar territory at a scale that made any comparison feel like imitation. The decision was to differentiate Boy Meets World by eliminating the overlap rather than trying to navigate around it. Minkus did not return until the series finale, years later, when he appeared briefly and told the main characters he had been in the other part of the school the whole time. The line was the show's only acknowledgement of the disappearance, delivered as a joke that landed because the audience had noticed the absence for seasons and never received any explanation for it. The moment worked precisely because the show admitted what it had done, rather than pretending the continuity gap did not exist. A character had been quietly removed for network politics, and the only recognition it ever received was a single meta-joke in the final episode, 7 years after he disappeared. Fact 9. Ryder Strong stole Sean's jacket and lost it. Shawn Hunter's brown leather jacket became one of the most visually recognizable pieces of wardrobe on the show. It was part of how the character read on screen every week, the slightly worn exterior that matched Shawn's position as the friend who had encountered more of real life than anyone around him. The jacket belonged to Disney, kept in the wardrobe department, and used consistently across seasons. Ryder Strong decided he wanted it and took it without asking anyone. Strong has been open about this in interviews and does not attempt to soften the description. He took the jacket, brought it to New York City while traveling between filming periods, and wore it around the city because he genuinely loved it. The plan was to return it before anyone on the production noticed it was missing. Then someone broke into his car while he was in New York and took it along with other belongings. The jacket that belonged to Disney was gone, and Strong had a serious problem he did not know how to solve honestly. Among the weird facts about Boy Meets World, 1993, this one has the most straightforwardly human panic at its center. Strong went out and found a replacement jacket that matched the original as closely as he could manage. He quietly reintroduced it into the wardrobe rotation and said nothing to anyone about what had happened. Nobody on the production appeared to notice the switch, or if anyone did, they never raised it with him directly. What the story does to subsequent viewings of the show is genuinely strange. Fans who tracked the visual consistency of Sean's wardrobe across the series were at some unknown point watching a substitute jacket without any awareness that the original had been stolen from a parked car in New York City, replaced out of pocket by the actor wearing it. Strong managed to move Disney property out of a studio wardrobe department, take it across the country, lose it to a theft, purchase a substitute, reintegrate that substitute into production, and carry that entire chain of events through the rest of the series without anyone making it official. That is a specific kind of accidental competence that the story rarely credits him with when it gets told. Fact 8. The cast thought William Daniels was British. William Daniels played Mr. Feeney for 7 seasons with a refined, precisely articulated quality that made every line he delivered sound like it had been considered carefully before it left his mouth. He carried himself with the kind of formal bearing that television audiences associated with classical training and a very specific kind of education. The young cast members working alongside him daily were so convinced by that bearing that for a significant portion of the show's early years, they genuinely believed he was British. Ben Savage, Danielle Fishel, and Ryder Strong have all mentioned in separate interviews that they held this belief and treated it as settled fact among themselves. Daniels spoke in a way that sounded elevated compared to the California patterns they were used to hearing around them every day. A British origin seemed like the most reasonable explanation for a voice and manner that did not match anything in their immediate environment. They discussed it among themselves when he was not present, confident they had correctly identified something about the man they were working with every week. Daniels was born in Brooklyn, New York. The accent and diction that struck the cast as unmistakably British developed when he was 15 years old and took a theater role requiring him to adopt a New England dialect. He liked how it sounded, kept it, and over the decades, it became simply the way he spoke. Not a performance he was consciously maintaining, but a genuine shift that had happened before any of his castmates on Boy Meets World had been born. Among the weird facts about Boy Meets World 1993, this one is the most quietly entertaining because of what it reveals about how thoroughly Daniels had absorbed his own affectation. A group of young actors worked alongside him every day for years and concluded the only explanation for his voice was that he must be from another country. They were wrong about the country and right about everything else. When they eventually found out the truth, the reaction was surprise mixed with mild embarrassment at having maintained the assumption for as long as they had. Daniels found the whole thing genuinely funny. A man from Brooklyn had convinced California teenagers he was English through nothing more than decades of consistent speaking habits formed in a teenage theater production. Fact 7. Disney held Anthony Tyler Quinn contractually hostage. Anthony Tyler Quinn's path to Boy Meets World started with an audition for the wrong part. He came in to read for Alan Matthews, Corey's father, a role that ultimately went to William Russ. Quinn performed well enough that the producers took notice, but the fundamental problem was apparent from the moment he walked in. He was far too young to convincingly play the father of a teenager. The role required someone who looked like he could plausibly have a 13-year-old child. Quinn was clearly not there yet, and no amount of performance could close that gap. The producers remembered him when Season 2 introduced Jonathan Turner, the young English teacher who would serve as a mentor to Sean Hunter. Quinn came back in, auditioned for a part where his age was the right fit rather than the wrong one, and landed the role. Mr. Turner became a fan favorite across several seasons. He was written out with a motorcycle accident storyline, and Quinn naturally assumed that his departure from the show meant he was free to pursue other work. Disney informed him otherwise. Even though the production had no further use for his character and had actively written him out of the series, his contract remained active and legally binding. Quinn could not audition for or accept roles on other shows without Disney's permission. Among the weird facts about Boy Meets World 1993, this 9-month contractual hold is the most clearly documented case of a network exercising control over an actor for no apparent creative purpose after having already decided they did not want him. Quinn has described the experience in direct terms as being held hostage. He watched potential opportunities move past him while being legally prevented from pursuing them through no misconduct of his own. He had not done anything to warrant the treatment. The show simply did not need his character anymore and chose not to release him regardless. By the time Disney released him from the contract, the momentum he had built from a prominent recurring role on a popular network sitcom had largely dissipated. The industry had moved on the way it always does. The window that had been open when he left the show was considerably smaller when he was finally allowed to approach it. A contractual obligation that served no creative function cost him a year of his career that he could not recover. Fact 6. The slasher episode almost never aired. For most of its run, Boy Meets World operated within a very clear set of expectations. It was wholesome family viewing, built around life lessons and friendships, and the kind of coming-of-age moments that parents and children could sit with together comfortably. The show had a tone, and it honored that tone consistently, which is why the 5th season episode, "And Then There Was Sean," landed as such a genuine shock for everyone involved in making it, including the network executives who saw early footage and became seriously concerned about what they were looking at. The episode was a direct parody of late 1990s slasher films, specifically Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, with a masked killer working through the main cast inside a dark and empty school building. Director Jeff McCracken shot it like an actual horror film rather than a sitcom, using dramatic low lighting, unconventional camera placement, and the kind of sustained tension that required viewers to stay with the scene rather than simply watching it. It looked and felt genuinely different from anything that had aired under the Boy Meets World name before. ABC executives reviewed the footage, and the concern was immediate. Among the weird facts about Boy Meets World 1993, this is the closest the show ever came to having a completed episode pulled before it reached viewers. The worry was real and specific. The horror elements were too intense for the family audience the show had carefully built, and parents watching with younger children had not been warned about the departure. McCracken went back to the network and argued for the episode. His position was that the audience was smart enough to recognize parody, that the horror elements were deliberately heightened beyond any realistic threat, and that stepping outside the show's usual tone was precisely what made the episode worth doing. The network agreed to let it air with minimal changes. It became one of the most discussed episodes in the show's entire run. Fans who grew up with Boy Meets World consistently identify it as a highlight across every format in which the show has been revisited. Its willingness to temporarily abandon what the show was supposed to be is exactly what kept it memorable. It almost did not happen, and the fact that it did permanently changed how people understood what the show was capable of. Fact 5. Ryder Strong was the only actor to audition for Sean. When casting began for Boy Meets World, most roles followed the standard process. Dozens of actors would come in, read for the same part across multiple days or weeks, and the producers would compare their options carefully before making a final decision. That process exists for good reason, and most productions honor it. Sean Hunter's casting did not follow it at all. Ryder Strong walked into his audition as the first actor to read for the role, and creator Michael Jacobs knew within the first few lines that the search was finished. Jacobs has described the moment in interviews with clarity. He turned to the other producers in the room and told them they did not need to see anyone else. Strong had the exact combination of vulnerability, charm, and edge that the character required. And Jacobs could not imagine another actor occupying that space, regardless of who else might have come in afterward. They stopped the audition process entirely. Every other actor who had been scheduled to read for Shawn Hunter was turned away without being seen. Among the weird facts about Boy Meets World 1993, this is the most unusual casting decision in the show's history because of how much certainty it required from a creator who had seen exactly one person try the role. That kind of immediate conviction is almost unheard of in television casting, where producers and networks usually want multiple options and comparative reads before committing. Jacobs bypassed all of that because he felt no ambiguity about what he had just watched. The decision turned out to be completely justified across 7 seasons. Shawn Hunter became one of the most fully realized characters in the show's run, carrying storylines about family dysfunction, identity, and friendship that required the specific quality Strong had brought into the room on his first attempt. Nobody else ever had a chance at the role because nobody else was ever asked to try. Fact 4. Will Friedle and Ryder Strong had to be kept apart. Will Friedle and Ryder Strong became extremely close friends during production, which sounds like exactly the kind of behind-the-scenes chemistry that should make a show better. On Boy Meets World, it created a production problem significant enough that the writers and directors had to actively work around it. Whenever Friedle and Strong were in a scene together, they made each other laugh. Not occasionally, and not in a way that could be managed with a few additional takes. Constantly, reliably, and in a way that ate through filming time that the production could not afford to lose. Directors recognized the pattern early and concluded that writing scenes featuring both Eric and Shawn together was not an efficient use of anyone's resources. The solution was essentially to stop doing it. If the two actors could not get through material together without losing their composure, the answer was to keep their characters largely separate within the show's storytelling. Among the weird facts about Boy Meets World 1993, this one has the most visible consequence if you go back and watch the series with it in mind. Eric Matthews is Corey's older brother. Shawn Hunter is Corey's best friend. By any reasonable expectation, these two should interact regularly across 7 seasons of a show that centers on the same household and the same core group. They almost never do. The number of scenes they share across the entire run has been estimated by cast members in interviews at around 5. 5 scenes in 7 seasons between 2 main characters whose connection to the central figure should logically place them in each other's orbit constantly. The friendship that Friedle and Strong built off-screen was real and genuine, but it cost the audience something that the show never fully acknowledged. The irony is that the reason Eric and Shawn were kept apart was that the two actors liked each other too much to work together efficiently. Viewers missed out on what could have been a significant comedic dynamic because the people who would have created it could not stop laughing long enough to film it. Fact 3. Danielle Fishel and Ryder Strong got married on the same day. In a coincidence that forced their castmates to make an impossible choice, Danielle Fishel and Ryder Strong scheduled their real-life weddings for the exact same day without either of them knowing the other had done it. Neither had consulted the other before locking in the date, and neither realized the conflict until the planning was too far advanced to reverse. Fishel was getting married in Los Angeles. Strong's ceremony was in a different location entirely. There was no version of the day in which anyone could attend both. The people who had spent 7 years on the same show, building friendships that extended well beyond the production, were suddenly required to choose which wedding to attend. Both mattered. Both were celebrating milestones for people they genuinely cared about. And the logistics of the situation meant that showing up for one meant not showing up for the other. Some cast members went to Fishel's wedding. Others went to Strong's. Among the weird facts about Boy Meets World 1993, this one has the most sitcom quality to it, the kind of scheduling disaster that writes itself into a script precisely because the situation is so absurd it would not be believed if it were invented. 2 co-stars who had played romantic interests on screen for years accidentally booked their real weddings on the same calendar date, without coordination, without awareness, and without any time to fix it once they found out. Both Fischel and Strong have laughed about the coincidence in interviews since, acknowledging how strange it was in retrospect. There were no hard feelings and no lasting awkwardness about who went where. The split simply happened, and everyone involved handled it with the kind of maturity that 7 years of growing up together on a television set apparently produces. The story has an almost perfect symmetry to it. Two people who met as children on a show about growing up, who maintained genuine friendships through the years that followed, accidentally created a situation on one of the most significant days of their adult lives that could have come directly from a Boy Meets World episode. Life occasionally writes better material than any writer's room could manage. Fact 2. The final classroom scene was done in one take. The Boy Meets World series finale ends with Corey, Topanga, Sean, and Eric saying goodbye to Mr. Feeney in his classroom for the last time. The scene is one of the most genuinely emotional moments in the show's 7-season run and carries a rawness that makes it feel different from every other scene around it. The reason for that quality is not complicated. The scene was filmed once, nobody involved was capable of doing it a second time. By the final day of shooting, the cast had been working together for 7 years. They had grown from children into adults on the same set, surrounded by the same crew, shaped in ways that do not happen in ordinary work environments by the experience of making something together over that length of time. When cameras rolled for the last classroom scene, the emotions in the room were not manufactured. Danielle Fishel has said plainly that she could not stop crying and that nothing about those tears was a performance. The grief was real and immediate, attached to the knowledge that something she had been part of since childhood was ending in front of a camera. William Daniels was working to hold his own composure while delivering his final lines to young actors he had watched grow up. The rest of the cast was in similar states throughout the take. Among the weird facts about Boy Meets World 1993, this one is the least strange and the most human. It is simply a group of people at the end of something real, caught on film without the protection of a second attempt. The directors watched the first take and understood that what they had was not going to be improved by asking everyone to collect themselves and do it again. The raw version was the best version because the rawness was the point. They kept it. What went to air was the first and only attempt at that scene. The shaky voices, the visible tears, and the pauses between lines were all there because they could not have been removed even if the production had wanted them gone. A final scene built on genuine grief turned out to be the most honest thing the show ever put on screen. Fact 1. The creator put his own son in the series finale. Throughout Boy Meets World's 6th season, baby Joshua Matthews was played by whichever infant actor was available on any given filming day. This is standard practice for shows with very young children in recurring roles. Babies work limited hours, have unpredictable moods, and cannot be expected to hit marks or respond to direction. Productions keep multiple infants available and rotate between them as needed. The character of Joshua existed on screen through this arrangement without any single baby holding the role consistently. When the time came to film the series finale, the infant scheduled for Joshua's scenes would not stop vocalizing during takes. Babies are not actors, and this one was producing exactly the kind of noise that disrupts the emotional tone of a scene being filmed as a conclusion to 7 years of television. The production needed the child to be quiet. The child was not interested in being quiet. Time was running short. The pressure of closing out the series was sitting on everyone, and the problem needed a solution that did not involve waiting indefinitely. Creator Michael Jacobs called his wife and asked her to bring their son Daniel to the studio. Daniel was close enough in age to Joshua that he could pass on camera without inconsistency. He arrived, was dressed in the character's clothing, and was placed into the remaining scenes. He was calm. The crew finished the finale. Among the weird facts about Boy Meets World 1993, this one carries the most unexpected warmth because of what it accidentally produced. The final scenes of a show built around the concept of family were completed using the creator's actual child. Michael Jacobs did not plan it that way. There was no artistic intention behind the substitution. He had a problem. A solution presented itself in the form of his own son. and he used it. If you watch the Boy Meets World series finale, the baby in those final moments is not the same child who appeared as Joshua in earlier episodes. He is Daniel Jacobs, present at the closing of something his father spent 7 years building, calm enough to let the rest of the cast finish what they had started. He will never remember being there. The footage exists regardless, and it has the creator's family in it at the end of his show. Boy Meets World spent 7 seasons telling its audience that life was going to surprise you constantly, and that the people around you were what made it worth navigating. The story behind the show turned out to follow exactly the same pattern. Which of these facts surprised you most? Tell us in the comments below. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss one.